Hey guys, thanks for joining me this week on For All Things Lexington. It's the only show dedicated to Lexington, South Carolina. Here, you'll hear me talk to people, groups, bands, and organizations about where to go, what to do, and who's who in and all around our beautiful Lake Murray. I'm your host, Angela Barrett, and this is For All Things Lexington.
The For All Things Lexington podcast has been brought to you in part by...
I enjoy listening to the Talking South Carolina podcast in my car, at work, or all cozy and warm at home on a cool South Carolina day. You should too. Check out the podcast and Angela Barrett at talkingsouthcarolina.com.
Hey Karl, thanks this morning for being here.
Glad to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Yes, absolutely. You have had some exciting times here lately. You've always had a pretty successful career in the art world, but here recently things have sort of exploded, haven't they?
Yeah, it's taken off quite well. I mean, it's a different world since the pandemic, and so I've just been trying to push, pull, excel, as they say.
Yeah, I think you're there. I want to start out with one of your projects, and we'll get to some of the others, but you've got the Harriet Tubman project. Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, what ignited that project was I saw this rendition, or drawing, if you will, of Harriet Tubman that they submitted for the $20 bill. And it was atrocious, in my opinion. It looked like a man. And, I was like, I kind of got offended to a certain degree because, this going to be part of American treasure. We should have most elite image of her, not just something just to pass by and say, oh, we have her on there.
Right.
So I took it personal and I said, okay, you know what? Let me just submit my painting. And I had my buddy R.Lee, has been with me forever since my career. Matter of fact, if it wasn't for R.Lee, I really wouldn't be doing the things that I'm doing now. He's been, I'm kind of Captain Kirk. He's like Scotty, So, sent it to him and he flipped it and doctored it up and put it on the $20 bill. And, I got great response from it. Then I've been back and forth off the hill trying to make things happen with it. So it's a slow process because at that time, Donald Trump was president and he just said that, we'll revisit it later. I think like 2030 or some madness like that.
Oh, my.
Yeah. But I was like, nah. So, well, I've been trying to do diligence to make that happen. I've had T-shirts and things of that nature, working with Congressman Clyburn and a few other individuals to try and make this thing come to fruition. If it happens, it would make me the only American artist to have artwork on American currency at present day. And so it could be really huge. And I don't think there's an art gallery in the United States of America here or abroad that would not want to feature me or exhibit my work.
Right. And speaking of art galleries that you have been featured in, you just recently were in New York and had some pieces in the trying to find the Agora Art Gallery there in New York for their I Love You exhibit, right?
Yes, I Love You exhibit, and yeah.
So that had to be a heck of an experience. Tell me about that.
It was interesting. I mean, because when you're dealing with art, it's nothing but diversity, and you got to be pretty cultured to really appreciate the way it was meant to be appreciated. And I tell you, it looked like the world stopped and all nationalities of the world came together at this big melting pot called the Agora Gallery. It was just fabulous. I was, featured artist there, and it was just an amazing experience. And I just really, really, I'm thankful to have done it and to get things going into 24, 25. So I'm excited about things to come. And being there, New York City is a different animal.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's no small fry gallery either.
No.
It's a pretty big deal.
Yeah, it's up there. It's just top of the line, top 10 galleries in New York City. I'm on the verge of having them, or either signing on with them to be one of their featured artists that they represent exclusively.
Oh, wow.
Globally. So that's just a decision that needs to be made, which is kind of a no-brainer, but I'm kind of playing with it.
Oh, you know you're going to do that. You know you have to. That would be phenomenal.
Yeah.
And while we're on the subject of New York, I want to read something to you that was written in the New York Wire. One such artist making significant waves is Karl Wilkes, whose innovative works are poised to set prominent trends in the art industry by 2025. How do you feel about that?
Well,
no pressure.
You have to believe so much in yourself that everyone else has no choice but to believe in you or witness. So my belief in who I am and what I'm doing, trying to share my gift, is basically inconceivable how far I can go with it. So I find it all to be true, and I plan to push it as hard as I can to make things happen and basically become a household name. Because I have this thing with me that I say, the history books rewrite itself every day. And I'm always chasing the greats, Vinci, Van Gogh, Picasso, So I said, as long as I, go after them present day, then, you can't lose. Can't lose. You can be placed alongside them or get out in front of them, because I found myself with the same rendering skills of a Da Vinci and everything that he wrote. It's all in the history books and everything. So I've studied him exclusively. Everything that all the art critics had to write and what have you, studied it all and found myself again to have the same skill set, but he's passed and I'm still alive.
Right. So is that where you feel, well, two questions. Who would be your biggest influencer? And if that's it, tell us. And then the second question is that where do you pull your creative thoughts to? How do you create? What is it? Emotion? Is it something you see? Is it tell us about that. Influencer and your creative process.
Well, the first question, as far as influencer, there's a couple. I'll just say two off the top again: Leonardo da Vinci and Romeo Beard and Picasso. It's three.
And why them? What pulled you there?
Well, Da Vinci said the thing that separates a good artist from a great artist is versatility. And I found myself to be one of the most versatile artists in the country. I do painting, sculpture, photography. I've written plays, 3 books, performance art, and what have you. So, I even invent things that probably won't go anywhere, but they work for me. Do a lot of creative, anything I can put my hands on to make the most aesthetic statement, I'll do it. Second question is, as far as my creativity, it comes from just life in general. Anything that, for example, if you and I are having a conversation and you say something, it could be a sentence, and that sentence will paint a picture for me. Okay. And it will probably be titled something I said. We could be talking, you'd be like, I don't know, it was something I said, and my brain would just go away. Just, something I said, what? And then it creates its own picture, and I just pretty much reproduce that image in my mind according to whichever way it wants to go. And I share it, and I have a theme behind it, as they say, content, pretty much a social commentary artist. I speak on things that, happen socially within my life, within the world and what have you. It's different these days as far as art is concerned. It's a little scary, if I may change horses in the middle of the street.
Sure.
Because this whole AI thing is like you can do anything now. It's just crazy. And it's like people are creating pictures and paintings, images, and this is worthless to me, but it's something to everybody else because we're in the future. But it also may be very rare at the same time, because one of the most important things that a human being can do is leave his fingerprint. I mean, if it wasn't for cave paintings, we wouldn't have known what went on back there. But,
Right.
with the whole AI thing, it's changing everything. I'm kind of in the juxtaposition of changing with it or stay as I am. I don't, I really don't know which way to go on it, but, you either get caught up in the web or get devoured by the spider, as they say. So, I'm just trying to do something relative for people to appreciate that another human being did in terms of physically, not on the computer.
Right. So let me ask you this. In that very same article, it says that Wilkes's art is not to be viewed, but to be experienced. So I take that as, correct me if I'm wrong, there is something you want in each piece. You're trying to gain a reaction, a particular reaction by each individual. A lot of times people will say art is subject to whoever's viewing it. But from all the articles that I have read and what's been said about you, you invoke, I guess, a particular reaction with each piece. Tell me how that works. How do you make that happen?
Well, I'm on a constant quest to stop what I call the museum knack, where you walk through an art gallery or a museum, you're just doing that type of thing, And when people see my work, they stop, look, and there's something within the artwork that's they can relate to or relative to them. Tell a story that hasn't been told. I don't know. Let me see if I can turn this a little bit.
Uh-huh.
That guy there, just to give you an example, Matthew Robinson, he shattered the world's record, I believe in 1936 Olympics, only to come in second place. He lost by 0.4 of a second. He wasn't able, he had no sponsors. He ran with the shoes he had. He went to a junior college. He wasn't going to go, but his brother talked him into running so you can beat these guys. So he went in and he came in second. He lost to Jesse Owens. Okay. But he retired working at a private white middle school, no recognition. But his brother went on to be one of the most renowned African-American baseball players in American history, which is Jackie Robinson.
Right.
So those type of stories, I think need to be told. And if I can create a piece that will get people's attention, make them wonder and see exactly why did he paint him? What's so special about this guy at a track field or whatever? This story about him. I think it's important to, American history and, African-American history, So, doing those things and the Harriet Tubman movement and all of that, I mean, I'm very diverse. Can't ignore my heritage, but at the same time, I can try and help people find themselves in any piece of artwork. I mean, this is very, very naturalistic work, but I do a lot of abstract painting. I can, I just kind of all over the place. I get bored myself really fast.
I love some of your charcoals. Those are probably some of my favorites. Yeah.
Yeah, those are my babies. I love those.
Yes, my mom did charcoal as well, so I love those. Those are great. Now you have, in addition to the project you have going on, the Harriet Tubman. Tell me about the My Earth tour.
It's funny. Well, I think everybody tells me I was a comedian. Excuse me. In my parents' life, and it's a pull from Parliament Funkadelic P-Funk Earth Tour, and I found myself all over the place. Traveling in Italy, Paris, London, Japan. And I was like, okay, so I'm visiting all these places. I kind of got to name it. So, and it's with a select group of works. So I was like, you know what? I said, this is an Earth tour. I said, because this planet has gotten so small because of the internet. We almost forget what Earth is.
Right.
Earth is like where we're sitting right now in front of the computer. So I was like, I'm getting around, moving around. I said, so it's an Earth tour. So I will bring the Earth into my works and let people understand that not only we're one big network as far as computers, but as this society that we live in, the Earth. And so to share my works, which comes from me, and I come from the Earth and the cosmos, so to speak. So this is what it is. I'm on this kind of a funky, what I would term is unspoken words heard visually.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah. In fact, did you not have an exhibit called that? Yes. I was going to say, wait, we didn't get there yet, but you brought it up. Go ahead.
That was my Carnegie Hall exhibit.
Yep. I was going to say.
Yeah. And one thing with my art, it's a springboard for something. And so, and it's all one. And I try not to deviate from my plight and just stay consistent with what I'm doing. Kind of what I call my McDonald's theory is how they got famous, because they sell consistency. So I'm just trying to be consistent.
Yeah. So now, being in Carnegie Hall, that is an experience as well. How about tell us about that? I can't even imagine.
Carnegie Hall, it's interesting because I've always found myself, ironically, to be the first to do things. First to do this, first to do that. Just like with Harriet Tubman, they'd be the first. With Carnegie Hall, I was the first visual artist ever to do a full-scale display there. And Carnegie Hall has this famous statement that how do you get to Carnegie Hall? Practice, practice, practice. But that's for musicians. So I'm the first visual artist to ever do a full-scale display at Carnegie Hall, which was, it seemed like at that time it was the who's who.
Yeah.
New York City that came out and saw my works, and it catapulted me to being at one point in my life, they used to call me the artist to the stars. And it jumped from there to, Bill Cosby, when he was a good boy during that time. He started collecting my work, and when people would visit him, they would like, oh, wow, who's that? And how can I get some of his work? And so it's just celebrities that started purchasing my work, and then I went on to catering to them. Just did that for a while, just to survive as an artist and not feel on that, starving artist cliche, which is, this is kind of interesting because not everybody knows where that came from. Do you know where that came from?
No, I've heard it many times, but I can't say that I know exactly where it came from.
Well, is Vincent van Gogh. We never sold a painting while he was alive. Okay. What he did was he gave away his paintings for food and shelter, and even though his brother helped take care of him, this was his means of support. So that's why they call it a starving artist, because he never sold anything. Where I think recently one of his paintings, sold for like $11 million.
Holy cow. That's a lot. Yeah, speaking of your famous collectors now, I know that you mentioned Bill Cosby, but I mean, you have some other very famous collectors as well. Why don't you run that list real quick? The ones that you can say. I know some of them might not want you to say, but.
Well, the artists formerly known as Prince, James Brown, Michael Jackson, who else? Oh my God.
Muhammad Ali.
Muhammad Ali, Spike Lee, George, Laura Bush.
Jay Leno.
Yeah, we got
I just want to hear you say it. Michael Jackson was.
Michael Jackson.
But did you get to meet all these people?
Yes. The thing about it is, it's funny. You can actually go see some of these people. Dan Marino, all these people on my website. I had somebody say, "Oh wow, you took some pictures with some very, very famous people." I was like, "No, he took pictures with me."
Right.
I don't chase them, and the thing about it is, most of the time when that happens, I've done an engagement, and I'm normally the key speaker or speaking at that particular engagement, and we just so happen to be on the same card. For example, myself and Andrew Young was on the same card. Did many things with many people. Rosa Parks, first artist when she was alive, I was selected at a very young age, and so that type of thing is like my artwork creates a podium for me to speak, and then they want to meet the artists that they hear me speak, and then so I meet with them. Even like when just before the pandemic, I think it was shortly after, did a show with Dave Chappelle.
Mm-hmm.
And, that was kind of interesting because it was right here in South Carolina at the Township Auditorium, and Allen University was commemorating a building in his grandfather's name. Dave Chappelle's grandfather was the president of Allen University.
Mm-hmm.
We came together like that, and like everybody that I meet, we wind up being best of friends, got them all on speed dial, because the thing about it, if they're not purchasing my work or sought after me, I normally will donate the work to them, to their organization, or just gift them because they've shared their life with us, has given us so much, and everybody goes after them to get something from them. Probably the only person will walk around and say, "Here, I want to get this."
Right.
Right. Everything.
That's right. That's right. Now, you mentioned Rosa Parks, and I was going to ask about that. Tell me, one, how that came to be, and then I want you to tell me a little bit about Rosa Parks herself. I mean, you worked exclusively with her for a while.
We met in Philadelphia. I have my friend, he was the general manager of the Marriott in Philadelphia. He said, "Carl," he said, "I got somebody special coming in. I want you to meet." Like, who? Oh, he said, "I just want you to meet him. I'm not going to tell you." I said, "Well, I'm going to find out." I said, like, really? Yeah. I said, "Okay, well, what do you want me to do?" He said, "I just, want you to meet her." And at that time, I was like, okay, but me as a giving person that I am, I was like, wow, that'd be something special for her. So did this portrait, and right when I was doing it, he gave her husband my number, and he called me to do something, which was raining. I was like, well, I'm already working on something. It's like, oh wow, okay. So just from meeting her, we fell in love with each other. Her and Raymond couldn't have any children, and so she publicly announced me as her godson. It's kind of, special. But her as a person, she was very special and unique in terms of the advice she would give. For example, she would say, Karl, you really don't fight or argue with people. Your best weapon is silence. Wow, okay. So, I took all that kind of stuff. She made a difference in my life in terms of...
She made a difference in a lot of people's lives.
People miss the vision. She actually taught me how to be humble. Because, I was a basketball player, just hot shot, arrogant, But she made me a better person in terms of how to be respectful to every living human being, and teaches you how to be a better human being. And, just to respect people, hold the door for ladies, just country boy out of South Carolina. Of course, I would do that, but, she just enlightened me on how to make it in a world that I never knew, just to be proud, walk with your head up, always remember who you are, the difference you can make. And that's one thing I want to say. She told me, she said, Karl, you're really good. She said, but you have to make a difference with the gift that you have. And I'm just like, wow. She said, that was good. And I'm just this great artist. And she was like, you're looking kind of funny. Why are you looking like that? I said, just what you just told me. She said, no. She said, when I tell you to make a difference with the gift that you have, the gift that you have is your life. It has nothing to do with your art. And when you know who you are, because I say that I am art. We all are art. It's art to the way we walk, the way we talk, the way we dress, how we comb our hair, cars we drive, the buildings we live in. It's all art. And, it's important to be able to share that gift. Some people back in the day, when you could talk, they called it the gift of gab.
That I have. This is how we're doing this right now.
It's really important because people could say, oh, wow, I heard what Andrew said, that was really special or whatever. So just something can change people's lives. Like that song, Hold On for One More Day. You got somebody standing on the edge of the cliff, and the song here's the song with a guy going by the road and radio.
Right.
He decides not to jump. So, it's just sharing our life as human beings and make a difference in any kind of way we can. Example, with my White House tour, I provide them with the history lesson number 5, which was my famous or my flagship piece. I have to visit all 105 historic Black colleges and universities supporting the White House initiative. And this makes a difference because history lesson number 5 is so important, not only to African-American history, but our history. American history, because history is so broad, it's boring. And it's like, oh, where do I start? So right. Was this select group of individuals and put them in a piece where people will walk up on and say, who's this, who's that, and start to educate themselves. And they're prominent and important figures in world history that all of them were responsible for helping shape society, especially American society. So that piece goes out to the universities and, it helps the students find out who they are, learn more about themselves. And, for those who don't know us, it educates them in terms of understanding African American people or the plight of, society of African American or Black race, so to speak, because we're all in this melting pot together. And I tell people, we're all one under the sun, SON, if you know what I mean. And that's just how it is.
Right.
Know about each other.
Now, I think from all that I have read, and I would need a year to read everything, actually, Karl, but what I can gather is that you are pretty darn good at bridging the gap between past and present in the stories that you tell through your artwork. In addition to that, the way that you do it, like you said, how you do it is based really, I'm talking about the physical part, based on some old school methods way back, but yet you've brought it present day. Not, again, just the physical aspect, but what your message is sending through this art, right?
Correct.
You get it. So tell us about that.
Yeah, well, it's part of, you take yourself everywhere you go. Being raised old school, parents, grandparents, and really paying homage to what they've tried to teach. And you just want to, each one teach one. If you don't have one, go out and find one. Is to make sure that everybody understands, your past dictates your future.
That's right.
And so if I can share that and let people know that today is a gift, that's why it's called the present. So you take your present and apply it every day and let people know how wonderful the life that you're living can be and what kind of person you are. Because if you were, I say that there isn't any bad people. You got some people that, of course, they might be mentally challenged or something, they do need to be put away. But I say there aren't any bad people, because I teach kids AAU basketball and all of that stuff. And I say that anytime you're in any situation long enough, you become that situation. So if you take a good girl and put her in a group of bad girls, after about 3 months, she's a bad girl. So that means she's mimicking or imitating her situation. So if people are around me and I conduct myself in a certain way, old school, new school, yesterday, today, and tomorrow, hang around me long enough, it will gravitate, it will rub off on you, and you will start to see things differently.
Mm-hmm.
You'll start to appreciate the past, because it's not all about the future. It's where we came from, how we got there, and how we can respect and bring that forward. But just because we went past it, you don't forget about it.
Sure.
Trying my best to allow people not to forget the past, because what happens, it changes their thinking pattern, because they would think that where they came from and what they did to get to that point wasn't important.
Right.
It's about where I am now, who I am now. Forget everything else. It's not, no, we're not going to play that game.
Right.
Remember what got you to where you are. Your struggles, the good times, the bad times, everything. Let it be known so people can know more about who you are as a person.
Right. I agree. There was something I was going to say to that, but it went right out the door. So what was the very first piece of art you ever actually sold?
Uh, it was actually I won in South Carolina the State Fair Art Contest. I did a painting of a dog, my best friend's dog, eating out of a bowl. The dog name was Rico. It was a collie, and I drew it, went home and painted it, put it in the State Fair. Mother's like, "Oh, that's really good." I had a little quick story for you after this. Mother's like, "Oh, that's really good. You should put it in the State Fair." So wound up putting it in the fair. I actually won state at that time. Somebody bought it. That was decades ago.
Yeah. So you were how old when that happened?
Oh, Jesus, I was in 5th grade.
Oh, good. Great day. Yeah. I hope you got your piece back from the state fair quicker than my son got his back. It took us forever. He had a piece that was a blue ribbon art, and it was one of those abstracts where I went and I'm like, "Son, what is that?" You know. But he and my mother got it. A little bit of photography for me, but they are the artists, the true artists in our family. And she knew exactly what it was. I'm going, "What is that?" But it was great. But it took us forever to get that back. But anyway, you're going to tell me a funny story.
Word artists. So, everybody has different sides of the brain that they have to operate on. But I was, again, in 5th grade, and I drew Bambi and Thumper, okay? And my teacher wanted to meet with my mother. And I was like, "Why?" She said, I need to speak with your mother. I told my mother, so we came to the school, and she was like, "Your son is really talented." She said, "What do you mean?" She said, "Look at this." And it was a drawing with Bambi and Thumper. I colored it with markers and everything else. She said, "I have never seen someone draw a Disney character better than the Disney character." As of the day, I'm still just like, riddle me that, man. I'm still how do you draw something better than it is? Yeah.
Yep, that's kind of what they're saying about you in New York right now.
Exactly. New York was a big deal, and it's growing out of control. It's getting really, really big.
Yeah.
I'll be back in New York in January. Then to do another show at the Agora for the entire month.
Oh, wow.
Acknowledge Black History Month, or in recognition of Black History Month. Of course, the order tour lands there.
Yeah.
It's called the show in February is Another Gotham. I believe it is something like that. I was like, okay, it's Batman. So
yeah. So let me ask you: are you creating new pieces for this? Is this still part of you'll have some of your works that you've already done and are known for, I'm sure, but are you creating new pieces for this show?
For the show coming up in February, my focus is to pretty much unload, give it all the energy I got. One man show of strength. I got one shot at the title, and I'm going to hit them with everything that I have. So I don't have time to create anything new.
Mm-hmm.
But I do have things that are current, but I won't be able to, I won't say I won't be able to, but I don't plan to have anything new to show. That's not important to me right now. I want to give them everything that I got and see where I stand and see what changes and adjustments I can make in order to take me to the next level. So I'll let them see where I'm at after the show.
Yeah, there you go. Now, what would you say your favorite piece that you've ever done?
I don't know if you have it before you. This is blue piece called the Dawn.
Mm-hmm.
It's a bridge with this one.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, if you see it, the paint on it is piled up like Van Gogh on it. It's so spiritual to me, and it's everything that I am, my whole life. You got the turbulent waters, and this solo boat just going down a river by itself, almost unmanned, but that's me there in the abyss of life, feeling so alone that you're not really there. But at the same time, this light down stream, it channels its way under the bridges, all the way up under the boat, and then out of the picture. But it's like no matter what I go through in life and the bridges I have to go basically through out of, I will still follow the light, which I'm very spiritual in my work. So I'm always following the light, no matter how bad it gets or whatever, I'm still on this course.
Right.
It's not a drawn line, but it's a line of light. So as long as I continue to follow that light, whichever way it can go in any direction because the waters are crazy.
Yeah. It's not a straight line.
So, yeah, there's just, that's my favorite piece because all the ranges that I've taken with all the different hues, the lights, the blues, just I think I've taken it to a range that it wasn't supposed to go to, as well as kept it in the norm.
Yeah. So now, what was going on at your life at that time that created that? I mean, do you?
The pandemic.
Oh yeah, gosh, yes. We all kind of felt like we're swimming a fish out of water at that point. Absolutely.
Pandemic was unreal. I created within 3 months' time because they had go home, stay home.
Yeah.
And I actually lost my mind. I created large scale paintings, 15, 3 months. Matter of fact, Harry Tubman was done during that time, and it's big as the hood of a car. I also restore frames. I get 15th, 16th, 17th century frames that are pretty much ready for the dumpster, and I restore them to like it's brand new. So I restored 12 frames, large,
Wow.
sanding them down, repainting them, remade corners, all of that, did the paintings, because when I said I lost my mind, the pandemic hit and I thought it was the end of the world. I really did. I got into my artistic brain. It was like, oh my God, what am I going to do if we're going to die? I haven't left enough works here for people that's going to survive and come behind us or whatever the case may be. I have to do more. And I just went on this tear. I was painting. I was probably getting 2 to 4 hours of sleep for 3 months.
Oh.
Yeah, I was gone. When I tell you, and I'm sanding it, working on the frames and restoring these old century frames, trying to bring the past to the present to start a new type thing. I was out of here, and that was just the pandemic did all that.
Yeah, it was tragic for a lot of people, and I don't mean tragic in it's the way of death. I just meant as in how they felt during that time. It's such a shame that the world was shut down at the time. I understand now that was probably not even necessary, but I think everybody has their opinion about that, and each doctor you talk to has another one too. So, but yeah, it was not a good time, and I really feel sorry for the children that went through that, because socialization is a big part of education, and a lot of that was taken away for a very long time for them, and I think a lot of them were affected greatly by that. Uh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it was a terrible thing.
Yeah.
And, me as an artist, of course, they say all artists are crazy, but it did a number on me, because I never thought about myself. I always thought about everybody else and trying to help people through my works,
Right.
how to stay smart, how to keep, because look, I have this thing that where once you get older and time starts to play cruel tricks on you,
It's not for the weak of heart, that's for sure.
everybody does not feel good. But things go as they do. One of the first things they do, be it a doctor, nursing home, or whatever, they put an easel and some paintbrushes in your face. And you're sitting there old and painting. They make you paint. Because painting and art is like gymnastics for the brain. It's just like a kid that won't speak or talk or, had an unfortunate incident in their life. Put the paper and markers down and whatnot, and they will draw you the whole story. If something terrible happened in the house or something happened to them, they won't say it, but they will draw it out. So it's a universal language that can relate to all of mankind. So language, I tried to teach through it. So pandemic, I was just trying to say, hey, look, this is how it was. This is what went through history. This is how you can have a better life if you survive this mess.
Absolutely.
I'll be the first to admit.
So let me ask you this. Wilkes Fine Art Gallery, which is in the Renaissance Plaza here in Columbia. When is it open for people to go and see your works?
Just by appointment only. Because sometime when...
We need an event then. We need to get together and have an event.
Absolutely. My thing is to plan an exhibit for myself once every 4 months. But at the same time, I'm trying to give the unknown artist or have a place of origin for the artists that can't get in museums or galleries because they don't have exhibition experience. Give them that place of origin so they can have a place, put up their works, have the proper reception and function, and then we can move them on to the next level. And that's the problem. A lot of artists, they don't have a place of origin. That where are you showing your works at? Nowhere. And that nowhere continues to be their life. So if I can change that,
yeah,
by helping them and saying, hey, look, I got a place for you. We can show your work. We give you the reception. Do it like that. That's what Wilkes Gallery of Fine Arts is.
I love it. I love it. So, last question. As an artist, sum up in one sentence your message to the world. One sentence.
Can I steal it?
Yeah, sure. Just your message.
My message to the world is make a difference with the gift that you have. And the gift that you have is your life.
I love it. Yep. I love it. That was Rosa Parks told you that, right? I love it. Yep. That's a good one. Well, thank you so very much. This was so exciting. I've been waiting for this one, and I'm glad that we finally got to talk. You are my first visual artist, finally. And I am excited to talk with you today. Yeah, and let's plan an event for sure.
Absolutely, and also I have a challenge for you.
Okay.
And being the first artist, there we go with the first thing again. I'm the first thing.
Sure.
Add a segment to your show.
Yeah.
Call it the check-in. So, yeah, people like myself and other unknown celebrities They
I don't think you're unknown, but go ahead.
every, let's say 3 months or quarterly, so it's check-in time. We're going to check in with this person, that person, that person. Just don't do the show and then thanks for doing the show. And then people with your audience are like, when would happen to so-and-so? And then you go.
Oh, I love it. That's a great idea. I'm going to implement that absolutely immediately. Love it.
The check-in.
Yeah, I love it. I'm stealing the check-in too. Yeah.
Well,
Too late. I've already tagged it.
there you go.
Perfect. Well, thank you again for being here today.
Happy.
Hey guys, thanks for hanging out with me today, and I hope you enjoyed the show. If you'd like to be a guest on the show or know someone you'd like to see on the show, contact me at forallthingslexington.com. That's the number 4, allthingslexington.com.
And by Angela Barrett at HomeMattersSC.com. Building on what matters to you.